Imagine the faces of the people you once held close, the ones you'd fight for without hesitating. Let that flash in your mind like an old film reel. There's warmth there and something more, something raw, primal, a bond that once felt unbreakable. Now, imagine the years slipping by and those bonds fracturing, slipping into the distant haze of camps, factions, and misunderstandings. Why does time do this to us? What happened to that fierce, clear loyalty? That kind that said, I'll stand by you no matter what. And why is it as life reaches its end, that clarity comes rushing back like a dam that's breaking too late for what we have held back? I'm Mark Roach. Welcome to Transcendent, a space where I share a lifetime's worth of seeing, searching, and asking hard questions. What I started as a way to help those like me with PTSD or complex PTSD has grown into something wider. I've come to see that suffering touches all of us. It just hides better in some lives. Some wounds are loud and impossible to ignore. Others hover in the background, quiet and unseen until the end of a long life reveals their toll. But no matter what you or where you find yourself today, this is a space for you, a space for connection, a space to help you shed the patterns and roles handed down through generations and to help you reconnect with the essence of who you really are. That part of you the world cannot replicate or dominate, your spirit. Loyalty has always troubled me in ways that I haven't wanted to admit. At its best, it's an unwavering bond that holds families and friendships together through storms. But at its worst, it's a leash, tugging us towards obligations that feel hollow and manipulative in some relationships. It could become a weapon, twisted to control us or bind us to causes, institutions, or unfeeling people who don't deserve that kind of devotion. Loyalty to the dollar, to a title, or to an institution, or even to an idealized version of life that we think we should live, has consistently left me felt disillusioned. I've climbed those ladders, I've pursued those dreams, and time again, I've found the top didn't hold the answers that I thought it would. Instead, those pursuits pushed me back toward a deeper, broader connection to our shared humanity. The harder I looked at the world, the clearer it became that loyalty was often a tool of escape rather than an anchor to truth. It was an easier pledge it was easier to pledge myself to a role, whether as a ball player, a scholar, or anything else, than committing to confront life's raw, unpredictable reality. After all, identities like these promise a kind of safety, a way to simplify the complexities of existence. But like addiction, they're seductive and dangerous, drawing us into the same well-worn grooves our ancestors walked through before us around achievement. There's no wonder so many of us felt trapped in low-level despair, repeating patterns that seemed almost scriptural in their persistence. For some, maybe it works. Maybe the timing is right, or the landscape of their upbringing allows it to make sense. That's fine. But for so many, these identities bind us. They keep us tethered to a false sense of control, feeding our egos while numbing the quiet parts of us that whisper deeper truths, the whispers that we're too scared to listen to or haven't learned how to hear and put action to. It's those whispers, if ignored, that begin to fester, planting seeds of division within ourselves and identity, trickling outward to our families, our communities, and our world. What divides us as we age? It isn't just time. It's how loyalty and identity drive us apart, separating us into categories we cling to so tightly. They overshadow the humanity that binds us. The Constitution might tell you something about liberty and unity, but even its words are used time after time to justify division. We cling to laws, logic, codes of conduct like lifeboats in a turbulent sea. Yet these are, at best, cartoons of what it's meant to be alive. They're neat, tidy ways to abdicate responsibility to something larger than ourselves, to humanity itself. If you stop to feel it, notice it. The truths we need aren't buried in books or laws. They're buried down in the wells of our psyches where we've stashed the unspoken, unloved parts of ourselves. These truths connect us to something grander, a rhythm older than language, deeper than law. But instead of facing them, we justify our isolation. We elevate ourselves above each other, or quietly degrade ourselves into worthlessness, believing the stories our conditioning wrote for us. Loyalty to an identity often does this. It turns us into fragments of who we could be, bending us away from our deeper potential towards a narrow external definition of worth, a title, a role, a belief. It's tempting to think that these are enough, but they're not. They're distractions, and these distractions, left unchecked, become chains. Chains passed down from generation to generation until they twist into patterns so deeply ingrained we mistake them for truth. But the real truths, they're not the rules or the stories. They're in the quiet moments of discomfort that demand we stop looking outward for answers and face what we buried within. Here's the question for you. If we know the patterns are broken, if history's constant repetition has taught us this already, why aren't we paying attention? Why do we continue to reach for the same ill-fitting solutions? The drink, the drug, expecting different results. Our children deserve better than this. They deserve to inherit the kind of truth that can't be broken down into constitutional clauses or loyalty oaths. But the kind of truth requires us to act. We all want to know what's practical and what we can do, what actions we can take. So stop ignoring what's right in front of you. I believe we're capable of this. I believe we can look past the conditioning, the distractions, and the roles that we cling to and begin to step into something better. Not just for ourselves, but for humanity as a whole. It starts with paying attention, not just to the loudest voices, but also to the softest ones, the ones that speak through discomfort and ask us to change. If we're willing to do that, you'll begin to see what's been missing all along, the camaraderie, the connection, the undefinable, undeniable truth of who we are and what we owe one another. It's there waiting beneath the noise in the rhythm of our humanity. I'm Mark Roach, and this is Transcendent, wishing you all the best.